A major pattern shift is underway across the United States, and we're tracking multiple threats developing simultaneously. The massive storm system that hammered the eastern United States has finally pushed offshore into the Atlantic, but that's only part of the story unfolding right now. A powerful new storm is organizing off the coast of Southern California, threatening heavy rain and strong winds. Meanwhile, a persistent Arctic air mass continues gripping the west and central plains. And looking ahead, another significant severe weather outbreak is taking shape for the middle of this week. Let's break down what's happening now and what's coming over the next several days. This is a complex, multi-day weather event that's going to affect nearly every region of the country in different ways. Starting with what just happened, the enormous squall line that produced severe weather from Texas through the Great Lakes has finally exited the continental United States. The system is now completely over the Atlantic Ocean, where it's creating a massive line of intense precipitation stretching from offshore of Florida all the way up toward the Canadian Maritimes. This offshore system is no longer a threat to land areas, but it is creating dangerous marine conditions. Any vessels in the Western Atlantic need to be aware of this intense storm zone, with very rough seas and storm-force winds over open water. The East Coast itself is now relatively quiet. The severe weather has moved out to sea, leaving behind clearing skies and cooler temperatures. Miami and the southeastern Florida coast are seeing some residual showers as the outer edges of that Atlantic system brush the coastline, but nothing significant. Now let's talk about the West, because this is where a new threat is rapidly developing. Satellite imagery is showing a well-defined low-pressure system spinning up off the coast of Southern California and Baja California. This Pacific storm is organizing quickly and moving toward the coastline. Los Angeles and San Diego are directly in the path of this approaching system. Over the next 24 to 36 hours, Southern California is going to see heavy rainfall, strong winds, and possible coastal flooding. This is a significant storm for a region that's been relatively dry recently. The atmospheric river associated with this system is going to pump substantial moisture onshore. Rainfall totals could reach several inches in some locations, with the potential for mudslides in areas with steep terrain or recent wildfire burn scars. The Pacific Northwest continues to see moisture as well. Seattle and Vancouver are dealing with ongoing rainfall as Pacific systems keep rolling in. The Cascades are getting heavy mountain snow, which is typical for March in the Northwest. Those mountain passes continue to see accumulating snow, measured in feet at the higher elevations. Now, for those of you in the Rockies and the Great Plains, you know cold weather in March is nothing unusual. That's just part of living in these regions this time of year. What makes this particular cold snap notable is how persistent it's been, and how it's setting up the atmospheric conditions for what's coming next. The Arctic air mass over the western United States is extremely deep and shows no signs of moving quickly. Denver, Cheyenne, and the entire Front Range continue experiencing well below freezing temperatures. The freezing line extends all the way into interior Texas and even parts of northern Mexico. Salt Lake City and the Great Basin are also locked in this persistent cold. Clear skies, combined with the Arctic air, are creating very cold nighttime temperatures. This prolonged freeze is a concern for agriculture and infrastructure across the region. The central United States and Midwest have cleared out nicely after the severe weather earlier this week. Chicago, Kansas City, and cities across the region are seeing sunshine, but temperatures remain below normal behind that frontal passage. The only active weather in the central US right now is a weak system moving across the Great Lakes toward Canada. Detroit and areas around Lake Michigan are seeing some light precipitation, but nothing significant. This is just a minor disturbance compared to what's coming. Because here's where things get very interesting. The atmospheric setup over the next few days is going to create another significant severe weather outbreak, and this one could be even more intense than what we just experienced. Warm, humid air from the Gulf of Mexico is already beginning to stream northward. Dew points across the deep south are climbing into the 60s, providing enormous fuel for thunderstorm development. At the same time, strong upper-level winds are moving into position to provide the energy needed for severe storms. The warm sector is going to expand rapidly over the next 24 hours. By Tuesday, the warm front is going to push all the way up to Chicago and southern Michigan. The cold front and dry line will be positioned from western Oklahoma through the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This setup is classic severe weather territory. When you get this kind of atmospheric configuration in March, significant severe weather usually follows. and that's exactly what we're expecting Tuesday into Wednesday. Monday is going to see the first round of severe weather potential. The Deep South, including Alabama, Tennessee, and northeast Texas, will be in a slight risk zone for severe thunderstorms. The primary threats will be damaging winds and large hail, possibly reaching baseball size in the strongest storms. There's also a low-end tornado threat from south of Little Rock through Jackson, Mississippi. Whether this threat materializes depends on how quickly morning storms clear out. If early convection moves north fast enough, afternoon heating will destabilize the atmosphere and could trigger supercells. But Tuesday is when things really ramp up. This is shaping up to be the most critical day of this entire event. An enhanced risk zone is being highlighted from southern Chicago through northern Illinois and northeast Missouri. The Midwest severe weather threat on Tuesday is particularly concerning because the wind shear environment is going to be extremely strong. Any supercells that develop in this region will have the potential to produce significant tornadoes. Chicago and surrounding areas need to pay very close attention to forecasts on Tuesday. The combination of strong instability, powerful wind shear, and favorable storm motion could create dangerous conditions. This is the kind of setup that keeps meteorologists on high alert. Further south across Texas and Oklahoma, storms are likely to organize into more of a linear system. However, discrete supercells ahead of any squall line could still produce tornado threats. The severe weather is going to be widespread from the Mexican border all the way to the Great Lakes. The timing on Tuesday looks like storms will start developing across Texas and Oklahoma during the afternoon hours. By early evening, around 7 p.m., the severe weather will be reaching peak intensity west of Chicago. Late evening into overnight, storms will consolidate into a solid squall line pushing eastward. Wednesday brings the next phase as the cold front continues marching east. The severe weather threat shifts from Texas through the Ohio Valley. We're looking at another long squall line with damaging winds, hail, and embedded tornadoes as the main threats. Behind this system, much colder air is going to come crashing back in. And here's where things get interesting for the northern tier. Wednesday night into Thursday morning, Chicago, Michigan, and the Northeast could see light snow as temperatures drop sharply behind the front. This is going to be quite a temperature roller coaster. Areas seeing near-record warmth early in the week will plunge back into winter conditions by Thursday. The Midwest and Northeast will feel the full force of this temperature swing. Looking further ahead to late week and the weekend, another round of winter weather is expected. Friday through Sunday, multiple waves of snow are forecast for the Midwest, Great Lakes, and Northeast. This could be one of the final significant Arctic outbreaks of the winter season. The pattern over the next week is going to be extremely active. Severe thunderstorms, followed by snow and cold, then potentially another severe weather round later in March. This is classic spring transition weather, where different air masses battle for control. Let's talk about specific city forecasts. Los Angeles needs to prepare for heavy rain starting tonight into tomorrow. This Pacific storm is going to bring the potential for several inches of rain and gusty winds. Urban flooding is possible, and mountain areas could see mudslides. San Diego is in the same boat. Coastal areas should prepare for rough surf and possible beach erosion. This is a significant storm for Southern California, and impacts could last through midweek. Denver and the Rockies continue the deep freeze. Temperatures remain well below normal, with no quick warm-up in sight. Protect pipes and sensitive vegetation, because this cold is persistent. Miami and southeastern Florida are seeing the last remnants of that offshore Atlantic storm. Some coastal showers are possible, but nothing severe. Conditions will gradually improve as that system pulls further away. For cities across the severe weather zone, Monday through Wednesday are the critical days. Little Rock, Memphis, Nashville, Birmingham, and Montgomery should all prepare for possible severe thunderstorms Monday afternoon and evening. Tuesday is Chicago's day to be most concerned. Springfield, Peoria, and areas across Illinois and Missouri need to be ready for potentially significant severe weather. This includes the possibility of strong tornadoes. Dallas, Oklahoma City, and Wichita will see severe weather potential both Monday and Tuesday as multiple rounds of storms move through. Kansas City and St. Louis will be in the danger zone Tuesday into Wednesday. By Wednesday, the threat shifts to Indianapolis, Columbus, and cities across the Ohio Valley. The squall line will be racing eastward, with widespread damaging wind potential. Travel across the southern and central United States is going to be very challenging Tuesday and Wednesday. If you don't have to be on the roads during severe weather, stay home. Airlines will likely see disruptions at major hubs like Dallas, Chicago, St. Louis, and Kansas City. The severe weather threat over the next few days is significant and widespread. Make sure you have multiple ways to receive weather warnings. Charge your phones, know where your safe place is, and take every warning seriously. After the severe weather clears, the pattern shifts back to winter for the northern tier. Snow and cold return late week, reminding us that March can bring just about any kind of weather imaginable. We'll be tracking all of these systems closely over the coming days. This is a high-impact, multi-day weather event that requires attention and preparation. Stay weather aware, and we'll keep you updated as conditions evolve.